Alright, let's run this shit. So, this video will have me talking about the third character's pick for the Crimson Collector, right? Now, as you know, strength in numbers, and I'm gonna always be creating more characters because after this, another video coming out, right? This ain't got nothing to do with them damn alien invaders. But the third pick has Fealfo to Zova Slide. Okay, that's how many characters I got. I'll be forgetting sometimes. So Fealfo to Zova Slide. Alright. And they both Asian chicks too. I don't know why I got the Asians at the top and the bottom. But there's a lot of characters. I had a lot of good times making up the characters for the third pick. So, as stated before, the characters in this pick are related somehow in the grand scheme of things to the characters in the first one. And you have a lot of females, because you know female characters are my jams. And then you have all these other people and whatnot. So, with the more the merrier and strength in numbers, 101 ended up being the ending of making up all of the heroes or the people that are aligned with them, because some of them are chaotic neutral, and you'll find out in this video. But I'm gonna begin with Fealfo, and her code name is an acronym for fuck around and find out. And if you fuck around and find out, you gonna find out that she be hitting people real hard. So let me pull up her job and all this other kind of information, because you know I got all the steeds on my phone. Not that one. And we're here. Alright. Fealfo is a spaceship mechanic, and she will be brought upon the group because, you know, she handles spaceships very well. She knows how to regenerate engines, hulls, space doors, life support units, oxygen reprocessing units, all kind of things. Fealfo doesn't have like a big superpower when it comes to being that helpful when it comes to spaceships, but she does have enough machinery information in her head to do all of the know-how of taking care of spaceships and things like that. Besides Fealfo standing for fuck around and find out, on the side you can see that it says that she likes to tap into her tightness durability powers without having that superpower, which would be tightness. Fealfo is a human, but she was already born and developed it as a child to be as strong as adult gods and goddesses. So whatever dojo she went to in the past that haven't been developed yet is the reason why she's so physically strong, and they call her fuck around to find out because, you know, she's a very small Asian girl, but uppercut game will have Liu Kang out in the first round. And then you have Clear Soldier, who is an army general of the 7 Can Cavaliers, the 7 Canadian Cavaliers. He's from a distant galaxy and whatnot, but Clear Soldier is also a descendant from a different dimension. He was also an experiment that landed him with the code name Clear Soldier. There was some kind of superpower war going around with experimenting on children and whatnot, and he happened to be one of the children that was good with the experimentation, and developed the fighting spirit to keep him good. So Clear Soldier is actually a great superhero that was not chosen by the machine, but like majority of the characters in the third pick, they are in different dimensions when it first began. So they come later on in the story and whatnot, like later on when the villains come into the story. So Clear Soldier was in another dimension, handling business and whatnot. So that's why he didn't get a puzzle piece around his neck. Otherwise, he would have probably been in like the blue, green, or yellow choices for the first pick. Then you have Emitter, which is a lab technician for Grime Labs. Emitter, she was developed because I didn't have enough blonde white female characters and whatnot. So she was actually developed first before Shveta. But Emitter is also in another dimension at the beginning of the story doing a colonization mission for Grime Labs, with a new dimension has been discovered, which is a very docile, peaceful, no manned, no intelligent life form manned dimension, all world, all universe. So she goes there with Zoludo, which will be talked about later on, and the two of them are the most powerful on that colonization mission for that dimension. Then you have Bumper, who is this automobile designer and trademark designer who is a god in Edgemere, and he develops all kinds of carriages, different kind of vehicles in Edgemere so that the gods and goddesses can get around and whatnot. He's very artistic, very bomb actually. Bumper is awesome, but he's based off of somebody I saw in my childhood. Bumper is going to be in Edgemere when it first pops off, but he won't be like readily available because he'll be in the middle of a contract for guides and whatnot, doing all kind of things. And then you have Arnold Mission, who is a Gundam pilot instructor. He is also one of the greatest Gundam pilots in the world, but he is a completely different superhero because he has mutism in a sense as a superpower. And it's mutism magic school bus, and he was made purposely to be my anchor to the magic school bus days and whatnot. So he should be developed in a way to be nostalgic to everybody that grew up on it. So I'm gonna leave that at that. But Arnold Mission is a very great superhero. Lil Slushy, on the other hand, ain't shit. She ain't gonna ever be shit, and she always is about that shit. But the greatest thing about her is that she's a veterinarian, and she is also great enough to work on monsters and whatnot. So Lil Slushy is actually good on everybody's list because she takes care of animals, and most of the heroes in the story, they do have pets and whatnot, but she's also great on the battlefield, and you'll see about this someday once I turn it into an animated series. So the next one is Zoludo, who is an aerologist operative for Grime Labs, which means he has all kind of pristine information on superpowers. So it's great to have him on those colonization missions or field missions that deal with him retrieving information about specific super beings, handling aero materials and things like that. Then you have Tertiary. She's a galactic class bounty hunter, just as good as Killif. She knows everybody in the story as well. All of the bounty hunter characters know everybody. They work with everybody on the superhero list and all of the 101 characters. Tertiary is... I'll put this. Yes. She she is a survivalist as well, so she's great for the stroke when it comes to winning a battle, and you'll figure that out one day once I turn it into an animated series. Then you have Big and Bright, and the reason why he's called Big and Bright is because he's this big ass Matism welder with skeleton as the category for his Matism form. So he turns into this big ass robotic skeleton with this big ass grin, and he always bright somewhere, acting up with all of the lights and whatnot. So I think he's like 7 foot, like this big mass of muscle, like how he looks in the picture. And he's also chaotic good, but you don't want to mess with him because he will turn any situation into a horror movie because of how big he is and how he messes with all of the light sources around and whatnot. Then you have Z-Files, who is a peace crusader and a bounty huntress. Knows everybody in the story. She's been she was born a goddess, but descended from Edgemere, came to the real world, ended up her and her family ended up being secured by some kind of team of people studying gods and whatnot, and she was in a laboratory majority of her youth life and finally escaped when she was like 13 or something. It was because of how powerful of a super being she would grow into once she hit puberty, and once she hit puberty the whole damn base blew up, and she ended up getting out, getting information, helping other people out, freeing some monsters as well, doing all kind of decoy stuff to make sure she got out. And the reason why they call her Z-Files is because in the master computer, when she got to the master room and looked up all kind of information, she was trying to find the files on herself so she can like delete it from the database, right? And she looked through all of the files, and it took her all the way to get to the Z files to find her files, and she was the only one in the Z folders, so she calls herself Z Files. And then you have Twilight, who is this cruise line theater actress. Twilight, beautiful child of God. She is, it'll be like the Fifth Element, Pavla, however you say her name or whatnot. She'll be putting on shows like that, doing opera, doing singing, Broadway kind of stuff, entertaining the folks on a cruise line. And she has a contract that's very long, and with her also being a pristine category 5 super being, she also helps with protecting the cruise line and all of the other ships as well. So she is about jumping out of that spaceship and fighting in way negative below temperatures in outer space like it's nothing, alright? And then you have Prometheus, who is a Gundam technician, a pilot, and a model. So he gets three different kind of paychecks, and he's regarded as one of the best Gundam pilots throughout the universe and whatnot. So he's brought into the fray as well later on in the story when he's finally free and whatnot. Actually, he's brought in a chapter where Arcurios and them get brought in because it's at the surveying post of the galaxies out on Galaxy 12, looking out into the great vastness of the universe, and they're on their outpost together and whatnot. So he's brought in when Arcurios is brought in. Then you have Masterpiece, who is the queen goddess of Raidress. I made a faux pas in the last video saying that Avosia was the queen of the mirror realm, but it's actually Masterpiece. And that nation is called Raidress. Avosia is the queen of another one. Can't even recall it right now, I have so much information going on. But Masterpiece is in possession of this puzzle piece that has nothing to do with the Crimson Collective, and it's basically a nuclear weapon. So with her already being a goddess and a nuclear weapon, she has another nuclear weapon and many means of onslaughting on the battlefield. Masterpiece is also one of the older goddesses of the story. She's as old as Ovoja. Allora is the last member of Purge that's going to be brought into the fray. She's a sanctuary holder, a sanctuary handler, which means she goes around to different outposts, different bases, and space colonies, spaceports, ground bases on planets and whatnot, and she handles all of the safe houses, the inventory, the other stuff, dealing with checking in, checking out personnel, checking in, checking out items and whatnot. 084, so to speak, like she was on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and things like that. So she does a lot of safekeeping and keeping everything that Purge collects safe, as well as individuals when people need to go through witness protection and whatnot. Her spellbinding powers allow for her to transport just as often as Omniverse can teleport from galaxy to galaxy and whatnot. But he protects children. Allora protects information. They have completely different jobs. But Allora is also a great straight puncher. She will hit a nigga in the chest, or will either go through the chest or send him flying through several walls or several obstacles. She is quite powerful. And then you have Zadracus. He's a traveling warlock. He is great at what he does, and his name comes from this character that I made for Spyro the Dragon fanfic. Zadracus is a platypus, and as you can see, his superpower has platypus in it. It should. Let me check. Let me scroll all the way through here, because you know I have characters forever. Alright? So, Zadracus and his armada platypus powers, basically a warship of his own, and has all kind of spells to go with. Actually, some information is all messed up. Oh, it's a power suit. He's a traveling bounty hunter. I'm gonna fix that right now. I meant to fix that the other day when I was doing this before I did the video, but here we are. Alright, so then you have Tomorrow, who is a high-ranking time cop who is often Metronome's best partner. Like Boston, Metronome needed a partner, so Tomorrow was eventually made, and I didn't want him to have a male partner because that's not what I saw, and Metronome is awfully the same as one of my Fantasy Man and the Lover's Mask stories. And then you have Resilios, which is one of the older guides. He's the king of Ayanishlan, and that's the Stars Nation, I believe, of Edgemere. He is one of the elder guides. Hasn't given his children any power over the throne, so his entire life he has been the king of Ayanishlan. Resilios is like Avosia and Masterpiece. They don't want anything to happen to Edgemere. They love their lives of being kings and queens, whether they have periods of benevolency or malevolency. Resilios is more malevolent than anything else. He is very chaotic, very thrill-seeking, very unnecessary, very comedic, and most importantly, very powerful. And then you have Dangerous. She's a deliverance guru. She is nothing short of everything that Eva Marcille was on the Real Husbands of Hollywood in that double episode where she was acting up. That's how Dangerous came along. So Dangerous is a play on the word dangerous, and she's always and a dress. So even if she's on the battlefield, her whole gown is studded out in diamonds or whatever jewelry she feels like wearing, and she's always delivering nothing but beauty. But the good thing about her is you can count on her to help you out on the battlefield. Silver, he's a professional motorcyclist and model. Quite lovely character. He's also a guy, so like Roughhead and Splashworth, he gets a lot of his livelihood from the real world. So when he found out about motorcycles as a kid, he decided that he was gonna be a motorcyclist when he grow up in the real world. So that's what he's doing, and he ain't gonna stop. So Silver is brought into the fray because he knows Omega very well, because both of them are racers in real life, and they get along because of so many events around the universe and whatnot, and they end up in the same places from time to time. So Silver gets to meet everybody eventually and whatnot, and he becomes a great addition to the fray of the one-on-one. And then you have Old Milagroso. He's an evening newscaster. Very lovely at what he does because he has big ass magical eyebrows, and people are drawn into that. All right, they have them blinders on, and when he comes on to deliver the news, they all up in his business. And with him being as powerful of a spellcaster as he is, he knows pretty much all of the spellbinders in the story. So he's brought into the fray because of it. And then you have Chaostres, who is the head of the new Fire Dynasty, which is this dynasty that runs out of a space colony in a galaxy that she lives in, and they do a lot of things that is very independent. So like I was discussing with Nexon in a previous video, Chaostres is pretty much the empress of her own queendom, and she has this whole space colony in this sector of the universe under her. All right, and she I think in this system it's more of a power struggle to become the leader of the entire dynasty, and they do like new emperors and empresses every 10 years, and you have to be a certain age in order for that to happen, right? And she is 30 years old when the next order of fighters have to come up and prove they can run a dynasty, and have to do all of these intelligence testing, warrior testing, superpower knowledge, dimension knowledge, Edgemere specific knowledge of surviving in outer space, and all other kind of things. So Chaostres is actually very important when it comes to a specific sector of a galaxy, and she has been in power probably I think about 2 to 3 years within the story. I don't remember her age right now, but she is in her 30s. Zapfang, on the other hand, is not in his 30s. He's a youthful 20-something, and he's a great adventurer, something close to what Zooms is, but he's with a different group. I haven't decided on it yet, but Zapfang is an adventurer extraordinaire. That's what he calls himself. One of a kind, alright? One of a kind. The character is gonna be fucking awesome. I forgot when I made up Zapfang, but I think Zapfang was one of the last characters. Yes, one of the last characters. Oh, he's a sword bug. I think this is the first time I created a new species of beetle, and actually, telling a lie, it's like I saw this picture. I was looking up bugs, and I saw a beetle with a long horn that wasn't like the stag beetles and whatnot, and I was like, oh, let me go look up this, and you know, they have sword bugs now. So now he's running around with a sword he can literally pull out of nowhere that belongs to his zoanthrope form and light up forest with electricity powers that can go into vegetation and somehow light up forests during the night, and he just becomes this great night slayer out of nowhere, and you know, biting everything and electrifying them with his fangs, you know, Zapfang, that's what he does. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So Zova Sly is the last one, right? I put her at the bottom because she's one of the old goddesses as well. And in the nation of Kanisha, they have the land and they have the sea. The sea is much bigger than the land. So whoever owns the sea has more say over the land than anything else. And she's the current pirate queen, and she's omnisciently, disgustingly powerful on a battlefield, because you know why? Octopus. Yes, octopus is a superpower. It's gonna happen. You're dead if you get caught up in the waters. So Zova Sly is the last one that I made up for that image, because for some odd reason I wanted a female on the top and a female on the bottom, but she isn't actually the last one Zapfang is, but Zova Sly was the last one on the image, because when I was looking up Asian women to be the face of her, when I saw that image of whoever the woman is, I was like, wow. With the way that I had planned on the character looking and her costume, her facial structure is just is very, how can I put this? Is very, I don't think you can say that somebody's facial structure or genetics is insane, but with the way that I want the pirate queen of the Kanisha Seas to be, to look, to act, to use her powers, it would be in an insane way. And when I saw her face, I was like, this what a Zova Sly would look like. And I was just amazed that somebody actually looks like that around the world somewhere. So I chose Zova Sly to look like that, and very happy, alright, with my choices in life. So you had this last image of all these characters. 101, alright. And I stand behind it. It's a good bit. So now I just have to tell y'all how the story go. And you want to hear it? Well, you gonna have to wait. Yeah, what? What'd you say? That's what I thought. Mwah. Until next time, for some more Crimson Collective, you have to wait for BT. Yeah.